Okay, so welcome everybody to another environmental webinar. Today we've got the great pleasure of having Frank Bosey in from Hostfully, one of our amazing sponsors. And we're doing a double header today. Frank is going to be talking about sustainability, about the Hostfully environment and how it can help you be more sustainable and the great benefits of that. And I'll be following on talking in more general about sustainability and some of the issues happening in our environment at the moment, I think are very positive, and also giving you some tips about what you can do to get started that are going to be quick and cheap and simple and effective. And that's what we all love. Some things that are going to really help the bottom line and help you build your business. But first, obviously, let me introduce Amit, who organises all these events, and he's looking after us today. If there are any questions or any comments, put them in the chat, and he will get the links, and we'll go through them at the end. This webinar is being recorded, and we will put it up on our YouTube channel and publicise it afterwards. We do tend to find that the majority of our people, they register, but then they watch it at leisure at some other point. So that's fine, as long as you can watch it and hopefully then take the actions that we're going to be recommending. Yeah, please put your questions in the chat, and there'll be a chance at the end to ask them, or we'll read them out. So without further ado, let me pass over to Frank and let's get started. Welcome, Frank. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Amit. Thanks for having me, Bob. I've heard so much about EnviroRental, so I'm excited to finally connect with you two and share how Hostfully or vacation property management software can help you with sustainability and being environmental friendly. So excited to cover this topic. And again, vegetarian, we got vegans on the call. We're doing our due diligence and our part for the environment. But yeah, hey, if you like chicken, if you like meat, that's fine. We have other fun ways that you can help the environment by using a software.
Absolutely.
Great. So yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen because we do have a lot to cover. So I'm excited for that. So yeah, I mean, before we start, just wanted to let you know a little bit more about Hostfully. What we do is we essentially strive to make the most out of every stay simply by helping vacation rental companies and property managers make more money, save time, and just improve the overall traveler experience. But also at the same time, what we mentioned earlier, Bob, is we support sustainability in short-term rentals simply by providing tech-driven solutions. So we help property managers reduce waste, improve energy efficiency, but also enhance eco-friendly guest experiences. So as you can see here, my name is Frank Bosey. I am the Senior Director of Partner Development here at Hostfully. And today we're going to be talking about both of our products, a little bit about the company, and then really dive into what everyone's here for is ways that you can make your vacation rental eco-friendly and sustainable. This is my contact information, so feel free to reach out to me at any time. Take a snap at the QR code. It'll bring you directly to my availability so we can schedule a time to meet and discuss all things Earth. So I'm always happy to help and teach you all more about Hostfully. Now, just an FYI, Hostfully has two products. These are both completely standalone products. You have the property management platform, which is basically designed to streamline your operations. And then you have the guidebook platform. And this is where you provide all the details to your guests. So they're both fully integrated. So you're, of course, more than welcome to use both of them together. But you also have the option to use just the property management software or just the digital guidebook. And today we're really going to focus on a digital guidebook and the benefits of those for the environment. So as mentioned, Hostfully is your all-in-one vacation rental command center. We take the chaos out of property management. So you can focus on delivering great guest experience, but also at the same time, scaling and growing your business. We have Inbox AI, where you can streamline guest communication with automated responses, multi-unit management, price management, of course, the channel management. We sync with Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, and some more OTAs as well. Again, this is all in an effort to prevent double bookings and keep your calendars updated. We have a central calendar and a unified inbox. automated messagings, payment processing, customizable owners portal, and then of course, direct bookings. So we offer an out-of-the-box, complimentary in all subscriptions, direct booking website for you to start building up that database and that direct booking flow. And then of course, we have a marketplace of integration. So Hostfully has one of the strongest APIs in the industry. We connect with over 50 plus tools, including smart locks, dynamic pricing, and guest experience platforms. That's the property management platform. And then we have the guidebook. So the digital guidebook is standalone. It's very unique, beautiful platform where we essentially focus on enhancing the guest experience at its core. Our platform makes it easy to share everything with your guest, check-in details, directions, house manual, your top local recommendations, which we'll touch more in a few minutes. And there's also going to be less back and forth with your guests, which in turn makes them happier and gets you more 5-star reviews. Also, something exciting, we've partnered with Viator to help you boost revenue. So guests can book local tours and experiences directly from the guidebook. And it gives the guest a seamless travel experience, while at the same time, you, the property manager, are earning an extra income with 8% commission. So if you haven't tried our guidebooks yet, we offer free trials on all guidebook subscriptions. We also have a free guidebook for everyone that wants to test it out. So kick the tires, test it out, give it a spin, and really just see the difference that it can make. Lastly, reports and webinars. Not only do we just sign you up and forget about you, we do have incredible platforms, customer service, the digital guidebook. We also have great learning opportunities and resources with our reports and our webinars. We have a variety of resources and reports available on our website, which I encourage you all to check out. You don't have to be a Hostfully user, just log in. There's so much to learn, not only about Hostfully, but really about the industry in itself. So take a look at that at your leisure. And then of course, we have a ton to offer you there. Blog posts, case studies, articles, previous webinars. So check it out. If you do want any more information on any of our products or just to talk and catch up, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm always happy to coordinate and schedule a one-on-one demo. But that's enough about me. That's enough about Hostfully. Let's go ahead and we're going to go and focus on steps that you can make to your vacation rental to make it a little bit more eco-friendly and sustainable, specifically by using a vacation rental software. So as we know, sustainability, eco-friendly, go green, these aren't just trendy, feel-good words anymore. They're now and have become a necessity, and they're really action items that you can take and you can implement in your business strategy that is going to increase your profits, it's going to attract more guests, and it's going to significantly cut your costs. And the best part of it all is that Hostfully makes it simple and stress-free to do so. So travel has changed a lot over the past few years, as we know, and one trend that keeps growing is sustainable tourism. There's no end in sight. It's just constantly growing. And with climate change becoming harder to ignore, I mean, it's snowing here in Charlotte and it was 80 degrees a few days ago, really more and more travelers are making eco-friendly choices, not just in their daily lives, but also when choosing where to stay. And going green isn't just about following a trend or using buzzwords like I mentioned, but it's about attracting eco-conscious travelers who just genuinely care about sustainability. And the great news is that vacation rental software can actually help you lead the way. So for property managers, this isn't just about doing the right thing, really. It's about meeting guest expectations, meeting your guests where they are. Again, sustainable practices don't just benefit the planet. They can also save you money and improve guest satisfaction, but also it can boost your rankings and your visibility on specific channels, which we'll talk about in a moment. So really, I mean, let's just take the opportunity and break down some eye-opening statistics for the example or the show of how important sustainability is. So travelers want it. 75% of travelers plan to make more sustainable travel choices in the coming year. 43% admit that they feel guilty when they stay in less eco-friendly accommodations. When I stay in a unit and it has a Keurig, I purposely don't use the Keurig. It's just my own little shtick. But again, just a simple example of how guests are a little bit more conscious about that. Also, the market is growing. The global short-term rental market alone is expected to reach $135 billion in 2025. And that's about a 10% increase since 2019. Also, with short-term rentals, hotels as well that go green see up to 20% higher bookings. Of course, there's the environmental impact, so accommodations, including short-term rentals, they contribute to about 10% of the tourism sector's emissions. Did I say that right? Yeah, 10% of the sector's emissions. And that totals about 264 million metric tons of CO2 each year. But with that environmental impact, guests are willing to pay more for that and for those accommodations. It's actually 50-50. 50% of travelers say that they would spend extra money for eco-friendly stays and accommodations. And ways of doing that is getting a certification for sustainability, because that helps drive bookings. So properties with eco certifications, they attract more guests, but they also command higher rates. And as travelers are constantly seeking them out, it's giving the property manager or the owner a little bit more confidence to hike up the price on their listing. Also, governments and OTAs like Airbnb and Booking.com, they reward sustainability efforts with better rankings as well as tax incentives. So what we're seeing here is that the demand for sustainable travel is real. The short-term rental industry has a major opportunity here to not only adapt, but also reduce its environmental impact while increasing profitability. And you're doing all of this while you're meeting guest expectations. So now, how are we going to meet guest expectations? You make your properties greener while staying ahead of the competition, and you can do so here. So the first thing is go paperless, really, with digital guidebooks. I know a lot of us love the tangible copy. We like flipping through the pages and seeing what's available. We like seeing the business cards. Not only do they cause a huge mess, but moving towards a digital guidebook really reduces the waste by replacing those paper guidebooks with Hostfully's digital version. So guests are more engaged with digital guidebooks. And when they're more engaged, that leads them to fewer repetitive questions, which in turn give you better reviews. Digital guidebooks like Hostfully's lets you customize recommendations as well as upsells. And by that customization and the upsells, you can create specific dedicated eco-friendly sections within the guidebook. So if your guest is there, very sustainable, and they see an eco-friendly, they're clicking on that and they're going to see everything that your company is doing to reduce those wastes. You can also offer carbon offsets as an upsell. So digital guidebooks, not only do they reduce waste, but they also allow you to offer carbon offset purchases right from the guest service, right from the guest device, my apologies. And there's companies like, what is called EcoTree. And EcoTree actually calculates the carbon footprint of certain flights and travel. So if you set that up with your guidebook, as well as a payment processor like Stripe, you can simply automate that upsell process and in turn make money. So guests want to reduce their travel impact, and this is just a simple small addition that creates a unique, sustainable experience. You also want to promote eco-friendly local businesses, as I mentioned earlier. In our guide, you can recommend restaurants, shops, activities. You can also create a dedicated green recommendation section in your digital guidebook. This is going to help encourage your guests to share their own eco-friendly finds, as well as other added benefits. And that's just by supporting local green businesses in the area. And by that, the travelers now want this um, kind of centralized focus on the location in which they're staying. So it's just reinforcing your sustainability commitment and your brand, but also, again, just increasing that guest experience. You can also automate smart thermostats and lighting. So you can now easily program thermostats to adjust based on the check-in and checkout schedules. And then you could also link them to your property management software to really optimize energy use or to conserve energy use. The smart lighting you can turn off when the property is vacant automatically. You can set it up on the schedule. And then another thing to mention is a simple fix is just switch to LED lighting and install water saving features. Again, this is going to assist you to reduce wastes right from the get-go. You're also saving energy and you're yourself lowering your utility costs. That's the thermostat and lighting, but you could also do locks. So they're smart locks. So you can eliminate the in-person check-ins to reduce the unnecessary back and forth, the travel emissions. But you could also sync your property management software with smart lock software to generate this access code that the guests would just get on their phone, and then you don't have to drive really to greet them or give them a key. The guests have, it's been proven that they appreciate the self check-in flexibility. And again, it just really reduces your carbon footprint significantly. So just a quick little fix on that. Then there's the booking site. So yeah, Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, other OTAs are great, but you can easily expand your reach by listing your properties specifically on green travel platforms. And you could use channel managers like NextPax or Rentals United that they integrate with property management software systems, especially Hostfully. And there's another one, and I'm not too sure if y'all have heard of this, but it's called Lodge Lovers. It's one of our newer integrations. And they focus on adventure-based outdoor experiences. So again, just focus on targeting your travelers, actively searching for sustainable accommodations. And then these guests are more than likely going to appreciate and pay for your eco-friendly efforts. The next one is install an electrical vehicle charging station. Now, this could be a bit pricier and require a little bit more work of the upgrades that you make, but you can easily attract eco-conscious travelers by offering on-site EV charging, depending on the area that you're in, of course. But there are services like EV Match, as well as OK to Charge, which we integrate with, and they help cover installation costs. So when your unit is not occupied, you can still have this extra income by renting out the chargers when your unit is not in use. Now, especially with more guests arriving, driving EVs, this feature makes your rental stand out above the rest while adding revenue to your day-to-day. Lastly, it's optimize eco supplies with automation. So the supplies within your home. So you can use turnover and cleaning management software to track and reorder eco-friendly supplies. So you can automate inventory management and then prevent any last-minute shortages. But another quick fix is just offer reusable amenities instead of single-use plastic. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, the Keurig, if it's plastic, I'm not using it. But if it's like the mesh one where you can like fill up the Keurig with the coffee, that's a great switch. It still gives you the instant coffee, but you're also being sustainable and saving the planet. Staying stocked as well, being prepared and organized with these sustainable products, again, just enhances your green commitment without the operational headaches. And then that's pretty much stuff that you can do. But again, just with Hostfully, as a company, we've demonstrated a strong commitment to environmental sustainability through several key initiatives. So I guess since 2021, Hostfully has maintained a carbon neutral status by collaborating with CNOT. And since then, we've implemented more and more accurate tracking of our personal carbon footprint. Between September of 2023 and March of 2024, we offset 92,180 CO2. And by doing that, it's equivalent to 1,500 new trees planted, 20 cars off the road for an entire year, 12 homes annual energy that we conserved, or 330 LA to New York flight emissions that we've saved, just by including these day-to-day tasks. We were able to increase our sustainability and eco-friendliness. Also, this past October, as you know, we celebrate Flash. He's in San Francisco. This is just a duplicate. It's not really Flash. But Hostfully adopted a new family member, and I believe we call him Bojangles, I think is what we named him. We've adopted him through the Sloth Conservation Foundation. So it's, again, just supporting their incredible efforts to protect these creatures, and just benefiting the environment. Hostfully overall actively encourages our employees as well as vacation rental managers to adopt eco-friendly measures. We've provided resources and guidance on implementing sustainable practices. And then, of course, using eco-friendly cleaning supplies. Composting has been big in the industry, recycling, obviously, but then obtaining sustainability certifications, which I think could be a great takeaway, is do a little bit more research on those certifications. And then lastly, we're glad to add today's webinar to the ever-growing list that we're doing. Today's event hopefully helped you all on how you can integrate sustainable practices in your day-to-day in an effort to enhance profitability, but also attract the eco-conscious guests. So overall, through these efforts, Hostfully not only reduces its own environmental impact, but we also empower our clients to adopt sustainable practices in the vacation rental industry. So I guess one more takeaway or ask for today's webinar is just to start small. So from today, starting today, just take one small action, whether it's switching to digital guidebooks, adding that sustainability badge, or optimizing your energy use, or switching out those Keurigs. Every step counts, and it can really make a big impact. Fortunately, with Hostfully and EnviroRental, you don't have to do it alone. So we're here for you. Let us know if you have any questions. And if you'd like to meet, here's a QR code to my availability. Do not hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to help.
Great. Thank you, Frank. That was
a lot of information in a little bit of time. I'm sweating over here.
And you were speaking speed. I love it. Yeah, really, really good. And it's quite funny, actually. Frank and I haven't sort of compared notes about what we were going to be presenting today. So there's a little bit of overlap, so I can reinforce some of the great points that Frank has made. But a lot of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in a moment is not been included in what Frank has said. So I think that's the perfect way it should be. So thank you for that. Let's get into what I'm going to be talking about. And hopefully you can see my screen. Great. Okay. I did change Frank's photo this morning because I had his old photo on. I was telling him I think he looks much more attractive in the new version. So well done.
I'll take it. Thanks, Bob.
Oh, sorry, somebody's just joining. Welcome. You've just missed Frank if you're just joining, but I will just repeat again that there will be a recording of this and we'll put it online after the event. So for those who missed it or missed some of it, you'll be able to catch it all at your own leisure. Okay, so let's get started. If I can get my screen to work. There we go. So my topics today, I'll just pull them all up, move these names out of the way. I'm going to be talking about the trends in short-term rentals, which I think are really exciting. There's a lot happening. It's really picking up pace. And I want you to be aware of some of those influences that are starting to take place in our industry. I want to talk about the business advantages of being sustainable, because many of you on this call might be passionate about sustainability. I certainly am. But I think the best way to think about taking action is think about how it's going to benefit your business. If you can see some direct benefits to your business, which obviously you want to build up, then that's going to make it so much more attractive and so much more desirable for you to jump in and start to take some action. And at the end of the day, I always say it really doesn't matter what our motivation is, how we come to this issue. The important thing is that we take action, and the end result is the planet benefits. But I think it's really good if you can really see clearly what the business benefits are for you and tap into them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And then finally, I'm going to talk about some quick, easy wins. Frank has already given you some amazing content there, and I'm going to be reinforcing those and giving you some more points too. Okay, so let's move on. My screen doesn't want to move on for some reason. It's deciding not to play today. There we go. So I'm just going to pull up this survey data. You got a little bit from Frank before, but here's another cut of that data. This is data that's come from Booking and Expedia combined, and you can see the numbers and you can see the description there. So we do know that 80% of travelers do think traveling sustainably is important, and if they are given the right opportunity, they would want to take advantage of it. The important thing there is that is a huge cohort of people that you may not yet be fully tapping into, and that's, I think, one of the other business benefits is tap into that group of travelers who are looking to stay more sustainably. But we also know, and Frank talked on this, that a large number of people, almost 50%, are actually willing to pay more for that travel. So if you can brand yourself and organize yourself and do the right things around sustainability, then you may well be able to hike your prices and actually get more money from your business. And I always say every time with people, do not feel that you have to be perfect. Do not feel you have to do everything straight away. Taking 2 or 3 simple actions and publicizing those actions and communicating them is the absolutely most important thing. There's no greenwashing involved if you're clear about what you do and the impact that you have. People are often a little bit reluctant to talk about what they do, but it's really important, as we're going to go on to look at, that you do some stuff, but that you communicate it so people can understand what you're doing. We know that 60% of people in the past 2 years have already taken a stay that has had sustainability element to it. So that's fantastic. And hopefully that's a market that will continue to grow. But again, as Frank touched on, we do find that nearly 50% of people are struggling to find a sustainable stay. There isn't enough. There is greater demand than there is supply on this topic at the moment. And that's something that you can fix by taking action in your property or properties and branding yourself and tapping into this market. So I want to talk about the changing landscape now of sustainability. I'm going to pull up the internal ones first. And this is really to just give you a sense that there are other things happening in short-term rentals, and all of these are having an influence on the changing market and the changing way in which the industry is coming to terms with sustainability. They are not all equal, I'm not claiming that, but they are all having an influence. So I'll quickly trot through these. Booking.com, one of the big OTAs, has enhanced their sustainability filter. As you may be aware, they used to have an owner opt-in process, and they had over 500,000 properties on their database which were eco-friendly. However, due to some European legislation and their need to adapt to the changing regulation, they've now moved to a process of only accepting properties that have been independently third-party audited through one of the regulated channels. And that's brought their numbers down from 500,000 to something like about 20,000 the last time I looked. And that might sound dramatic or might not sound good, but actually I think it's impressive and it's really good, because then the traveller can have confidence that when they go to those properties and they find them on Booking, then they will be able to have confidence that those properties are doing the right thing. And so one of the things I always encourage people to do is to get a badge, and Frank talked about that, and I'll be talking some more about that, and then get the appropriate one. And if you're using these channels like booking.com, get yourself listed there. And then when people are searching for eco properties, they can find you. Another thing is that we've been working for a little while, a number of years now, trying to talk about sustainability in the industry. I'm always speaking at conferences about this. But last year, myself and a number of other people, we actually ran 2 dedicated conferences on sustainability in short-term rentals. We did Scale Green in the spring of last year in London, and we did Vacation Rental World Summit Green in the autumn in Porto. And that's because we wanted to get that information out and have more time to talk about these topics. There's never enough time at conferences, and we wanted to do a bit of a deeper dive and help people along the way. We're hoping and expecting to run these conferences again, bigger and better this year. And so do look out for that, because that will be an opportunity for you to understand these topics and jump into a bit more detail rather than just listening to a half-hour slot at one of the bigger conferences. More on that soon. Obviously, we've got EnviroRental, which is our home here, and we offer all our free resources to support the industry around sustainability. I'm going to be talking about those resources in a moment. We're also finding there are some really interesting and bigger companies in our sector who are now taking sustainability very seriously. We've got Host and Stay, we've got Sykes, we've got Bob W, and many others who are really now focusing and putting sustainability at the heart of their operations. And that's great because they're trialing what works, they're making improvements, and they're sharing their knowledge. And if you go to EnviroRental, our website, envirorental.earth, you will find all that information there. So don't worry about anything that I say today. Everything that you could possibly want around short-term rentals and sustainability, you will find on our website. You do not need to go anywhere else. We'll find it for you and make sure it's there. And then certifications, I've talked about it, Frank has talked about it. We've got Sustonica, one of the great certification programs, and Calia, both dedicated to our industry. This is where that you take some steps, you reach a certain point, you get certified because they assess what you're doing, and it's rigorous. You can't just say you're doing stuff if you're not doing it. It will be properly audited. Then you get a badge, you get a stamp, and you can put that on your website, you can put that on your marketing, you can put it on the OTA listing and let people know. That's really important. Let people know that you have achieved a certain standard. And hopefully, as the years go by, you'll take further steps and move further up that standard. There are lots of standards out there. It can be quite confusing. I would encourage you at first point to look at Sustonica and Calia, and you'll find the information on our website again. And then also internally within our sector, we've got awards now that are starting to include sustainability. And that's great because many of you are doing some good stuff. And I run my own properties in Italy, and hopefully I've made some progress there. I've been fortunate to win some of the awards. And that's good because it's a recognition that you've taken action and you've done some good. But the very act, I found in my experience, the very act of putting yourself forward for one of these awards, you have to document what you're doing. You have to think about that process, and it makes you think, well, what have you not done and what those next steps might be? And if you are shortlisted, that's fantastic. Publicize that. If you're fortunate enough to actually win, then you get an award, and then that's real publicity that you can use. You can monopolize that publicity and get it out to the community, get it out to your potential clients, and let them know you've won an award, which is another way of attracting them to you. So let's look at some of the external stuff now. And I'll trot through this quickly. I'm conscious of time. Ooh, I've gone too far. over-tourism policies and destinations are starting to have an environmental impact. You're probably aware of this. It's in the news quite a lot that certain parts of the world are now have become over-tourist focused. And actually, there are some restrictions coming in to even restrict some of those tourists or to charge them for visiting. And there's a need then to think about the environmental impact of those tourists on the area. And we need to think of ways of stretching that market, thinking about the off-season, thinking about as climate change is moving from one area to another area, thinking about how we can help the local community. And that also has an environmental aspect to it as well. So that's starting to play its part because people are complaining that their local environment is being spoilt by too many tourists. So we need to be conscious of that, and we need to think about what we can do in particular hotspots. Then there's an organization called Travelist. Again, a bit of detail, you'll find it on our website. This is a big not-for-profit organization with a lot of the big players in our industry involved, which might be Skyscanner, Booking.com, Expedia, Airbnb, Visa, Google. And they have come together and they're collaborating to try and create some common standards, some common platforms across all of tourism, not just short-term rentals, but all around being more sustainable. And one of the things they've done that's impacting on short-term rentals, as I was talking about earlier, is actually certifying the certifiers. So they've certified, I think now about 70 different certifiers where you can get a badge. And those badges have been tested to prove that they do what they say on the tin. And that's important because you don't want to choose a badge that isn't really doing anything and people don't understand and it doesn't mean anything. So Travelist, you'll see a lot about them. And they've got a website. I'd encourage you to take a look. They're creating standards across all aspects of tourism and trying to get commonality and consistency across our industry. And that's got to be really good. And that's starting to have an influence. And then the other thing that crops up all the time now, when I listen to lots of analysis and webinars and reviews of the year, and some of the big thought leaders in our industry are talking about what the big topics are that we need to be thinking out about. And obviously things like AI are always up there, but normally in the top three also comes sustainability. So some of the bigger brains than my brain are understanding that sustainability is important, and that as an industry, as organizations, we need to be tackling that. And that's a reinforcement to me that this topic is important, and you can benefit by getting involved yourself. And then two more topics, the rise of B Corps. I don't know if anybody's familiar with B Corps. Again, they're a way of creating a standard wider than just sustainability. It's a very rigorous assessment process. There are many thousands of B Corps that have gained the standard around the world. It covers staff management, it covers governance, it covers dealing with your suppliers, as Frank talked a little bit about before. It talks about your staff management, it talks about your environmental footprint. It's a very rigorous accreditation standard. If you're talking to your suppliers, if you've got one supplier that's got B Corp, then take them more seriously because they've had to go through quite a rigorous process to achieve that standard. And for the bigger people in the audience and in our industry, there are many in tourism who are going for B Corp and have got B Corp. And whenever I see a company that's got B Corp, I'm always interested to listen to more to what they've got to say and to be interested about their product or their service, because they're usually head and shoulders above other people. So B Corp is big in tourism, and I would encourage you to seek them out. And then finally, eco legislation and regulation. This is coming down the line, particularly more in Europe at the moment. America is a little bit of an outlier, but we're not going to go there. This is where legislation is coming through and regulation is coming through that is going to start to impact on organizations. It's starting with the bigger organizations in tourism, and they have to do some reporting on various aspects of their emissions and their carbon footprint. And that's by law in Europe. They're starting with the bigger companies, but it's coming down the chain. It's in the years ahead, it's going to be coming to the medium companies and the smaller companies. And that's where we are going to be seeing that you will have to take certain steps and comply with certain regulations. So it's useful to be aware of that. So just briefly, I'm conscious of time, I want to just touch on EnviroRental. So we are the sustainability hub for short-term rentals. As I said before, anything you want to know about short-term rentals and sustainability, you'll find at EnviroRental.earth. Our resources are solely for property managers and hosts. A lot of the information can apply to your private lives and to other organizations, but our pure focus is helping our industry to be more sustainable. We collaborate with our sponsors, and we've got the fantastic Hostfully here today. They support us financially. They support us by allowing us to communicate to you and get our message out, and we work together, and we're very thankful for the support that Hostfully give and our other sponsors. The sponsors are important because we give everything away. When you go to EnviroRental.earth, once you register, you can use all our resources, all our information. There is nothing to pay whatsoever. Everything is free because we do not want any barriers to entry. We want you to be able to tap into all those resources and not to be worried about having to pay some money here or register for this. It's all free. And that's because we've got some amazing sponsors who allow us to do that. And then quickly, our resources, just a little overview here. You'll find them all on the website. We have a roadmap, which is a detailed plan of, I think, 14 steps now of the things that a typical property manager or host might take, why it's important, the steps they can take, and what the impact will be. And we encourage you to go to that. It's at the heart of the website. But we've also got blogs on where we do deep dives on particular parts of the sector and interesting things that we think you'd want to know about. We write lots of case studies. Some people learn by coming to a webinar like this. Other people learn by reading a case study, seeing what somebody else is doing and thinking, I can do that. I can copy that. I can innovate that. So we need to be giving the information to you in many different formats. We collect all the data and surveys that come out from the big organizations, and we analyze that. You'll find that there. You'll find the measurement tools so that you can understand what your carbon footprint is and how you might reduce it. We always look out for the industry news, and you'll find that there. And lots of other things that I won't go into now. It's really an action-packed full website, and it's all free. I will just mention our marketplace, which is our latest innovation. And we were getting a lot of inquiries from people who were asking about a particular product or a particular service that had some sustainability aspect to it. And we weren't always able to give them that information. So we've started to gather that and put it on our marketplace. It's categorized by function. It's categorized by area of the world. There's a write-up about the different companies and what they do, links to their social media, any special offers they have, and what their big hook is around sustainability. So that's growing, and we want to add a lot more companies there so that when you're looking for a product or a service which has a sustainability element to it, you should hopefully find it on the marketplace. And we'd also love you to recommend other companies that we can be putting up there too. And then before I come on to the quick tips, I just want to talk about the business advantages. I've touched on some of these already, so I will trot through them. But I think these, for me, what are the biggest advantages are of taking sustainability action. Differentiate yourself. That's number one. There's a lot of people in our industry who are doing a big fat zero around sustainability. We obviously want to meet people where they are and get them started on their journey, so there's no judgment. But if you can get started and you can get ahead of the competition, then you're making a difference there. So take some action, take some of the branding issues that we've talked about, get yourself badged up, and then differentiate yourself. Talk about it, write a blog, put it on your website, put it on your listings, let people see that you are different from others. And then they can come to you, because we often say and I know this from my own experience of running my properties in Italy. You've got two properties that the guest, a potential guest, is looking at. It's the same price, it's the same quality, it's in the same area, it's got the same pool or the same sea view or the same amazing cabin in the woods, whatever it might be. Then they're thinking, what's the difference between these two properties? You can stand out if you've taken some sustainability steps. Who is going to turn around and say, I'm not going to stay with them because they're being sustainable? It can only be an advantage to you. So think about how you can diversify and differentiate yourself from your competitors. This can improve your profitability because you can get more bookings, more direct bookings, more repeat bookings, and who doesn't love that? Staff love it, and that's also an important one. There's some great surveys coming out now that some of the younger generations are really interested in working for companies, big and small, that are doing the right things for the community, doing the right things for the environment, doing the right things for their local area. So some really interesting quality people are so interested in working for good companies, doing the right thing, and you're more likely to attract those people and keep them. Prominence, this is about the OTAs, and I've talked about that really. Getting your badge, getting on the OTAs, and actually being a higher profile on the listings when people search for sustainability. And I will say this, it's my prediction, I say it all the time, I think it won't be long before some of the OTAs actually calibrate their algorithms, and irrespective of the search criteria, will put sustainability properties at the top of the listing. They're not doing it yet, but I think they will be doing it because they've got objectives to meet around their own carbon footprints, and you'll find all that information on our website. So I predict that's what will be happening. So get yourself badged and get yourself on there. Publicity is another one. The press are still really interested in businesses that are doing the right thing sustainably. Again, I can speak from my own very personal experience of my business, Casaldifici, in Italy. We've worked hard to get a lot of press. And when you get press, you get business because people see it and then they book. I remember a few years ago on my birthday, we got a really great piece in a big national newspaper in the UK, and we got 20 bookings off that one article. It was actually came up on my birthday as well. It was the best birthday present ever. So never give up on publicity. And people keep these articles, or they keep a note of where they've read it, and so they'll come back to you next week, next month, or even next year or afterwards. So do think about publicity. You will get more bookings because people are interested in staying sustainably. And we looked at that Booking and Expedia.com survey data before. Consumer demand. We know that consumers, not just in travel, but generally, are starting to understand a lot more about the climate emergency, their personal carbon footprint, and they are increasingly wanting to do the right thing, which means they'll also want to do the right thing when they go on holiday. They won't just disconnect their brain. So bear in mind that consumer demand is changing around sustainability. People are becoming much more savvy about what that means, and they're looking for brands that are doing the right thing. Future-proofing, this was about the regulation. We talked a little bit about it before. More regulation is coming in, particularly in Europe, and that will start to have an influence about what you need to do. And it might mean that before you can get a mortgage, or before you can get insurance, or before you can get investment in the future, I can see that these organizations are going to be asking for, what are you doing around sustainability? What actions have you taken? So start to think about what they are and the big things that you can, the small things that you can do that can make a big difference. And then the guest experience. People love it. People love to stay sustainably. It's an enhancement to their stay. And I found from my own personal experience, people love it when there's a synergy between the host's beliefs about what they want to do for the client, for their business, and for the planet, and the guests who have a similar mindset. And they feel like they're coming home. They write a great review. They refer you to their friends and family, and they come back because for them, they have found somebody who's doing the right thing that they want to do too. Do not discount that. It's huge. I have in my business a 90% book direct rate, and a 65% repeat rate, because they come back because they love what we do, and we love to have them, of course. And then all of this builds into your brand. That's really important. And I keep talking about it. Put it into your brand. It's super important that you communicate that. Write about it in your Hostfully guest book. Write about what you're doing. Involve the guests, and talk about it on your website. Write a blog about it. Get some publicity about it. Get the badge. Find any way possible that you can talk about eco without exaggerating, without greenwashing, and you will see the benefits. So to finish, I just want to give you 5 steps that I think are really easy to do and will have a big impact. Green energy tariff. Now, this depends on where you are in the world. It's certainly much easier in some parts than others. This is the biggest part of your carbon footprint, the energy that you consume. So this isn't about putting solar panels and wind farms on your property. If you can do any of that, great, but that's going to cost you quite a bit of money. But in some parts of the world, in many parts of the world, you can switch your energy tariff. You get in touch with your energy supplier and you say, I now wish to switch to a green energy tariff. Of course, it's the same electricity coming down the line, but your money is going to invest in renewable energy. It's not going to fuel carbon like gas or coal. It shouldn't cost you any more money. And if your energy provider doesn't do it, then seek another energy provider. It's super easy. It's a phone call. It's a click on a website. It's a conversation with somebody. In many parts of the world, it's really simple to do. It won't cost you any money. And that's the biggest thing that you can do that's going to impact on your carbon footprint. And of course, all of these things, once you do them, you build it into your website, build it into your brand. Tech and sensors, tech sensors. Frank has talked about this. I'm not going to say too much. There are so many on the market. They can do so much to help you. They can make your life so much easier. They can reduce your carbon footprint. They can help secure your properties. You'll find lots of them on our marketplace, and you'll find lots of them at conferences. It's one of the big areas. I could talk about it all day, but we need a whole new session on that. But we have written blogs about this, so I'd encourage you to go to our website and take a look. Eco toilet paper. Sounds routine. Everybody needs toilet paper. But then why not think of a company and use a company that provides eco toilet paper? Paper that's been recycled, but is still obviously high quality. Also, I'm going to give a plug to one of the companies that I personally use, and they all over the world, Who Gives a Crap toilet paper. It's a funny name. It's an Australian company. They're all over the world now. They have amazing product. Obviously, the product works. But what I like about it, and it goes back to something Frank was saying, is about your suppliers. Use the power of your pound, your dollar, your euro. And if you're going to use a supplier, whether it's a product or a service, whatever, in our industry, go to the companies that are doing good. Go to the Hostfullys who are doing the things that Frank described before. Or on toilet paper, go to somebody like Who Gives a Crap. Others are available. They give 50% of their profits to build toilet facilities and water facilities in the developing world for people who need them. Isn't that absolutely amazing? You know, you can make a difference just by choosing the supplier of your toilet paper. Wonderful toilet paper, gorgeously wrapped, funny brand. It works. Why not do it? Single-use plastic. Again, everyone understands plastic. We know what an amazing product it is, but it is an insidious product. We know that most of it is not recycled. Most of it is burnt or goes into landfill or ends up in the ocean or the rivers. It takes hundreds of years to degrade. We need to reduce our dependence on single-use plastic. So think about what you can do. And the very quick, easy one that everyone talks about is the dispensers in the shower. Don't have those little bottles that people use a bit and throw it away. Get a proper dispenser on the wall for the shampoo and the soap that you can refill. It will save you money, and there's no plastic because you're just refilling the same bottle again and again. There's a lot more you can do around single-use plastic in terms of your cleaning products, which is probably a little bit more advanced. We've written some blogs about it. I certainly use those systems and products in my own properties. I just encourage you to think about where those single-use plastics are in your units and how you can reduce your reliance on them. It can make a great difference. And of course, you want to be talking about this. And finally, eco-friendly web hosting. Another really simple thing to do. So we've all got websites, they all run on servers. Check with your server, service provider, and see if your servers, those servers are run on green energy. You can go to a website. We'll put the link in the chat. I'm sure Amit will do that in a minute. And you can just go to this website, the Green Web Foundation, plug in any URL, your own or anybody else's, and it will instantly tell you whether your servers are run on green energy. Isn't that fantastic? Super easy. If you get the smiley face, yes, you've won. Then you can get a badge that you can put on your website. There is zero cost to you, doesn't make no cost whatsoever, and it's another way of branding you. If you're not, if you get the down face, then talk to your host and ask them why they're not using green energy to run their servers. Servers are a massive drain. So we all talk, or it gets talked about a lot, that flying is really bad for the environment. It counts for 4 to 5% of global greenhouse gases. Well, listen to this. So does the internet. The internet, all the servers that we run around the world are also around 4 or 5% of global greenhouse gases. So why don't we do our bit by running our own servers in a more eco-friendly way? So yes, flying and restricting flying and trying different ways of changing that habit are important, but web hosting is also important too. And finally, brand your website. Think about your business and how you can make a difference. Think about the digital guide. Write your newsletters. Get your accreditation. Brand, brand, brand. If you don't brand, then people aren't going to find you, and that is really crucial. So that's it from me. I will stop sharing, and we can then take some questions. Ooh, my screen has stopped working again. My internet's a bit weak here. Are there any questions?
Not in the chat box so far.
Okay, so if we can see each other.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, Frank, while we've got a minute, is the guides that you have, the digital guides. Do you obviously encourage people to write about their sustainability aspects there? Do you have any plans to help with that? Do you have any default areas that they can just fill in that might prompt them to take action A, B, or C? Is that something that you have or that you might be able to look at?
Yeah, with the guidebooks, it's constantly growing. We had one gentleman for 4, 5, 6 years. It was just him doing the guidebook, and now we have a team. So the guidebook is going to be double the amount of features and excitement that we currently have. So I'm excited for that. We have something called the Start Wizard, I think is the verbiage we use, where it asks for your address, like the foundational stuff for your guidebook, and it builds your guidebook. And then you, from there, customize it. So you can customize with coloring, categories, all that stuff. In terms of sustainability and that, I guess it would be contingent on the area in which your listings are located. Some, again, with restrictions, but also incentives with the government and the city in having sustainability efforts. That can change things, but yeah, there's a lot of automation that's happening with the guidebooks now as well. We do have something called the AI itinerary builder. So based on the information that you provide in the AI itinerary, you could type, it'll ask you questions like how many adults, how many kids, what's the reason for their trip, like stuff like that. And then there's also a portion where you can type something in like hole in the wall restaurants or vegan, vegetarian focused cuisine, or you could even type in sustainability and environmental impact, and it'll pull you an itinerary of everything in the area that has the certification, that is known for being green or sustainable, and it'll print out, literally, it not prints out, but sets you up with an itinerary, which you can ultimately print out, which we don't suggest because we want to keep it on the trees, keep it digital. But yeah, there's a lot that you're able to do with the guidebook.
Yeah, fabulous. Thank you. Is there anybody who wants to ask a question? I know there's a few people on the call. So if you do, just put it in the chat or put yourself off mute and ask away. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and I mean, also, if there aren't any questions, again, you know Bob's contact information, you have my contact information, you could please feel free to reach out. We're always happy to help and to chat about different initiatives and incentives. So.
And one thing I wanted to reinforce that Frank helpfully touched on, I do think it's really important, is the issue of EV chargers. We obviously understand that they're becoming EV machines of cars are going to become much more popular, and people are looking for chargers. We put one in our property about 8 years ago.
Oh, you do? That's cool.
Actually, we got it for free because at the time Tesla were trying to expand their network.
Yeah.
But what's really important is two things, and Frank did touch on these, but I do want to reinforce it because I think it's really important. One is you can obviously, with these chargers, like OK to Charge, and we've got some others on our marketplace for the UK and for Europe, you can set the tariff that you charge. And therefore, you can recoup the money that it's cost you to invest in the charger, and then you're in profit. And every time somebody charges, you're making an extra few cents or a few more bucks or whatever it might be. It's a really good way of generating income, and people don't expect to be able to charge for free. So you can set the tariff at the rate that you want, and that's really important. But the other thing that's really important, I think, and it's certainly worked for us in Italy, we get several bookings a year because we have a charger. People who have an electric car, I have it myself, when you're traveling, you look where the chargers are and you compare the charging database with where you want to go. And then when you've narrowed down your search, you go, well, I'm going to stay here because they have got the charger rather than stay in this other place. So the very fact of having a charger is convenient. People don't want to travel down the road to the supermarket or the charger on the main road when they want to charge at night. They want to charge on the car park where they're staying overnight. So you will get more business. I guarantee it. So I think that is a really important point. And thanks, Frank, for bringing that one up. I'd forgotten it.
Yeah.
Okay, we are about out of time. So unless anybody shouts up with a quick question, we will finish here. I want to thank Frank very much for coming along. It's been really a great session. I appreciate your time very much. We will put this webinar on the internet on YouTube very soon, and you will get a link sent to you in due course if you've registered for this. So thank you, Frank. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, everybody who attended. And we look forward to seeing you at another webinar soon. Cheers.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Bob. Thank you for coordinating a bit.
Yeah.
Frank, thank you.
Y'all have a great weekend.
All right. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.